So Donald Trump has survived a second assassination attempt. I'm going to give you all the different details about what we know as of right now, as well as some reactions that I saw that I think are worth sharing. And at the very end, I'll give you my thoughts on what exactly this all means for the election at large. So first and foremost, let's put this up on the screen here. This is from the AP News. It says that Trump was the subject of an apparent assassination attempt at his Florida golf club. So firstly, the things were kind of coming in different like spurts throughout the day. So when I first got a hold of this story, I saw it on Twitter from an account called Raw's Alerts. They've been a subject of consternation in the past, but they're usually pretty good with the information they put out. We'll put this up here on the screen right now. It says that this was earlier today around 2 o'clock Mountain Time. Officials now report that the Secret Service agent opened fire on an armed suspect while Trump was golfing, during which President Trump was tackled by Secret Service agents on the fifth hole amid shots being fired at him. Police later discovered a backpack containing an AK-47 and a GoPro camera near Trump's Florida golf course. The suspect fled in a car but was later detained in a neighboring county. Now, some people were a little skeptical at first of whether or not this was actually an assassination attempt or not. But we can put this up on the screen. This is from the FBI. This is from their official account. They plainly say that they are responding to this and investigating for what appears to be an attempted assassination of former President Trump. And like it was mentioned earlier, this person was, in fact, they did flee the scene from what we can detail from reports. Kind of like drove down I-95. They were eventually captured. I'm gonna put a picture of that here up on the screen now. This is a photo showing the suspect's car being stopped by law enforcement with a person in custody after the shooting incident at Trump's Florida golf club. Now, what we can see here, CNN actually has the next piece here. We'll put this up here, saying that the person in custody in connection with the apparent assassination attempt is Ryan Wesley Routh. This is according to three law enforcement sources. This person was apparently a self-employed affordable home builder in Hawaii, went on social media to weigh in on politics, which don't we all, and at times was criticizing the former president and expressed strong support for Ukraine. Roth traveled to Ukraine following Russia's full-scale invasion of its neighbor more than 2 years ago, according to a video and images geolocated by CNN to Kyiv's Independence Square. Video shows Roth attended a rally at the square in support of Ukrainian troops on May 1st, 2022. Visited the same location about 6 weeks later, where a photo shows him standing beside the Ukraine flag, um, embezzled with an appeal for international volunteers to support the war effort. Um, so we don't really know a whole lot as of right now. I was kind of searching around trying to see if there was any more information that came out about this person. Some people were kind of scouring through his accounts on X slash Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And not too long after people kind of like discovered his account and they were going through his old tweets, his old posts, whatever they're called now, uh Elon Musk or the folks at X for whatever reason suspended his account. Don't know if that was something that they were asked to do by the government or something they just chose to do. But for whatever the reason, the account is currently suspended, so not a whole lot of people really know a whole lot. But someone who I watch pretty consistently online, someone by the name of Sagar and Jetty. He's one of the hosts of Breaking Points. He posted these on Twitter. The first one here is a post by him. It says the alleged Trump shooter has given multiple interviews to U.S. news outlets, touting his ties to international mercenary groups in Ukraine, including spending months in the country and meeting the defense ministry. Here's a quote from one of the interviews. It says, most of the Ukrainian authorities do not want these soldiers. This was head of the International Volunteer Center in Ukraine, a private organization which helps foreigners seek to assist the war effort, connect with military units and aid groups. He went on to say, I've had partners meeting with Ukraine's Ministry of Defense every week and still have not been able to get them to agree to issue one single visa. You can see in the next post here where he kind of talks about, trying to find different people from like who fled the Taliban and people who are from Pakistan and Iran, trying to get some of these people to come to Ukraine, saying that they can probably purchase some passports because, well, Ukraine is a corrupt country. So This is about all we really know right now. We do also know that this guy is, in fact, a Republican. Apparently, he, voted for Trump in 2016, but then voted for Biden in 2020. But then apparently was very much Team Vivek and Nikki Haley in the primaries this time around. So this guy went from essentially being pro-Trump to not Trump Republican, from what we can tell right now, also fiercely pro-Ukraine. Uh, what else we know about him at the moment is not a whole lot. What we will say, though, is that Donald Trump seems to be in good spirits about everything, or at least it appears that way. We can put this post up on the screen. This is something that he posted on Truth Social later in the day, where he said that he would like to thank everyone for their concerns and well wishes. It was certainly an interesting day. Most importantly, he want to thank the Secret Service. Um, he named someone specifically in here, law enforcement. Everyone did an incredible job today keeping me safe, 45th president, Republican nominee, so on and so forth. He's very proud to be an American. Kamala Harris posted a response herself later on in the day. We could put this up there. It starts talking about how she's deeply disturbed by the possible assassination attempt of the former president. And as we gather facts, I will be clear. I condemn political violence. We must all do our parts to ensure that this incident does not lead to more violence. And then we have her statement here underneath. And the last, piece of reaction that I think is worth noting here, because this isn't the first time that we've seen this from this particular person. This is actually from Congressman Ro Khanna. We'll put this up there. He put out a post on Twitter saying, two assassination attempts in 60 days on a former president and the Republican nominee is unacceptable. The Secret Service must come to Congress tomorrow, tell us what resources are needed to expand the protective perimeter, and let's allocate it in a bipartisan vote the same day. Ro Khanna has been really consistent about this. For those who are not aware of him, he's a Democrat from the Bay Area, I believe. So those California liberals that we're always hearing about. But he's been very consistent on this. He was condemning to all hell the Secret Service lack of protection of President Trump the first time around, when he had that assassination attempt in Pennsylvania that left another person in the crowd, unfortunately, dead from the attack. And he was grilling the head of the Secret Service, basically asking like how this could possibly happen, what this breakdown and absolute failure on their part. And so it seems as though he's taken that same exact position again, to which, it really is a fair question, because if you just, forget, if you take like the tribalism out of this, we're a very tribal country right now. So if you're pro-Trump, you're probably heated. If you're anti-Trump, you're probably thinking, oh, whatever. But, the fact of the matter is that the Secret Service is supposed to be designed to protect those who are, within their, who are within their bubble. And it's one thing for something like that to happen at all, which you could say is an egregious failure. But for after that to happen, that assassination attempt, for it to happen essentially again within a 2 month span, I mean, there's a lot of questions that have to be asked. I'm just trying to take a very just like apolitical lens to it right now. If this was Kamala Harris or Barack Obama or George W. Bush or just whoever, like if it was whoever it was, if you are in the Secret Service protection, this really shouldn't be able to happen. I know a lot of people on the left, they probably don't really think too much of this. But, personally for me, I do not think that anything positive comes from Donald Trump being assassinated. I think nothing positive comes from it. Absolutely nothing. In fact, I think that a lot of the things that people on the left are afraid of when it comes to how Trump can incite, violence and how Trump can create more dangerous situations in America, I think all of those things get amplified if he were to be taken out in this fashion. In my opinion, the only thing that really is going to ever really end the Trump era is if he's legitimately just defeated in an election. And that's, hopefully where we're heading in November. But I stand with Ro Khanna on this one. This is not okay. Because at the end of the day, if Trump did get killed this way, everything gets worse. I truly believe that everything gets worse. The last thing that I want to point out here is that, we're going to be seeing just a lot of politicizing of this event, probably more so from the Republicans. And the first case of that I already saw this, this evening when I saw Carrie Lake, who, for those who aren't aware of her, she's a Republican who did run for governor of Arizona in 2022, lost, basically went full stop to steal, said that, the election was stolen from her, even though there was no evidence. And now she's running for Senate in Arizona. She's lagging pretty much behind her Democratic challenger right now. But she put out a video. Well, she didn't put out a video. She was interviewed on Newsmax, and there's a clip that I want to discuss with all of you first. So before I get into my thoughts about it, let's roll the clip, and I'll give you my thoughts on the other side of it.
Not just about President Trump, it's about a movement, his movement, a movement of peace and common sense and positivity that has now been perverted by, frankly, the propaganda press. I walked away from a 30-year career as a fair and honest journalist because I was unwilling to push this kind of dangerous garbage propaganda that is leading to people being hurt, people like President Trump. And I'm calling on more reporters out there and honest journalists to do the same and just walk away. It's the sick mainstream media that's pushing this hatred. It's a character assassination of President Trump. It's a smear campaign that is causing people like the guy they caught today trying to kill President Trump to respond and behave in the way that he did.
So first, let me just get this out of the way, because a couple of things that she said in here I just find to be absolutely hilarious. But the first thing that I want to get out of the way is that, as somebody who does not like Donald Trump, and I've made that abundantly clear over the years, and definitely more recently with posts that I've been making on Instagram about him, there have been times which I can say definitively that, there were media stories put out about him that were exaggerated, that were not true, that were, in some cases, like with Russiagate, were just absolutely false. A lot of the outlets that ran these stories never ran any, any kind of like detractions. They never went back later and apologized for, putting out stories that weren't true, so on and so forth. So like, I'll give him that. Like, that is definitely true. But what's also true is that that type of behavior also happens from conservative outlets about Democrats all the time. I mean, God, it's just the things that were said about Hillary Clinton, things that were said about Barack Obama, like, the fact that he's a Kenyan Muslim, it just like that he's not, that he's wasn't actually born in America, the birth certificate scandal that was started by Donald Trump. So this idea that Trump plays the victim of being just uniquely persecuted by the media is kind of a joke. And also the fact that Kerry Lake would say that his campaign is based on peace and common sense. That is an absolute joke. There is very little common sense that is surrounded by Donald Trump. Very little. And peace? Are we kidding me? On the exact same week where he was continuously perpetrating lies throughout the country about a group of actual like legal immigrants, in a city of like Springfield, Ohio, that he called illegal, saying that they were running around and stealing people's pets and eating them. Story got debunked time after time. It's a woman who came out who actually started the lie itself on a Facebook post. She came out, admitted it was a lie, apologized for it. Trump still didn't care, still kept talking about how these things were just, so bad for the country, and how, like, when he becomes president, he will deport these people, even though, again, they are legal immigrants in that community that he's referring to. There was bomb threats that were, like sent into like the schools over there, into City Hall. Hospitals had to like shut down. I mean, like, it is incredible the effect that Donald Trump has on people here in this country. Proud Boys were walking around Springfield, Ohio this week. KKK was passing out like flyers, like in that same town in the last week, all because of one lie that Trump continuously just kept saying over and over and over again. So the idea that Trump's campaign, that Trump's, movement is in any way peaceful or like rooted in common sense is a joke. And the idea that the people who criticize him are doing so out of bad faith or just out of nowhere is also an absolute joke. So again, like these two things, it's not saying, I'm not trying to say here that Trump brought this on himself, because again, I truly believe that political violence like this, an assassination attempt, nothing positive will come from that. But also, I want to say that the idea that people would feel this way about Donald Trump is solely from baseless attacks from the media. That's absolute trash. No way, shape, or form. Like Donald Trump is a divisive figure because Donald Trump chooses to be a divisive figure. He says things on the margins that try to rile up people in every single way that he knows how, because he knows that it will get people really pissed off and really on his side. I mean, at the end of the day, Trump is the kind of figure who it's honestly amazing that this hasn't happened more often, given all the things that he has said and done over the years. But again, nonetheless, I don't think that in any way, shape, or form this should happen. And I hope that they do, give him more protection from the Secret Service. I hope that this does not happen again. And I hope that he loses in November. But with that being said, like as more details come out about this case, if we find out more information about the shooter, if we find out more information about what's going to happen next, if there's some fallout with the Secret Service or whatever the case may be, we'll try to update you on this story as we get more details throughout the week. Thank you for watching this video of Independent Thought. If you liked the conversation, please go ahead and give the video itself a like, and be sure to subscribe for future episodes on the channel.